There are few worse things that can happen to an actor than getting typecast. Okay, that's not strictly speaking true. They could get robbed at gunpoint or fall into a vat of boiling oil. But professionally speaking, it's a pretty horrible fate. These 10 performers were all in danger of that happening to them. The typecasting thing, not the boiling oil stuff. But thankfully, they were able to realize this and shift their public perception in very surprising ways. Whether they started out in comedy and successfully migrated over to more serious parts or vice versa, whether they grew out of more childish roles and matured as a performer, or whether they did something else entirely. These 10 guys and gals were all seen in one particular way before things changed forever. So I am Gareth here from WhatCulture.com, and here are 10 actors who reinvented themselves in unexpected ways. Number 10, Anne Hathaway. The not Shakespeare's wife version of Anne Hathaway got her start in teen comedy drama Get Real in the late 90s. Then came her big breakout movie role, Princess Mia Thermopolis of Genovia in Disney's The Princess Diaries. The movie made Hathaway a huge star and led to her starring in similar family movies like Ella Enchanted and The Princess Diaries sequel. She also starred in the upbeat comedic romp that was Brokeback Mountain in 2005. Oh, wait a second. As the troubled wife of Jake Gyllenhaal's character, Hathaway gave a performance nobody was expecting and completely changed the trajectory of her career. Sure, she will continue to play fluffy roles in things like Valentine's Day and Love and Other Drugs, but Brokeback opened the door for her to take on more dramatic parts in Les Miserables and Interstellar. Basically, Anne Hathaway can do whatever she wants now, and that is completely fine with us. Number 9, Sandra Bullock. Although she first came to major prominence for her part in The Bus That Couldn't Slow Down, aka Speed, Sandra Bullock went on to firmly establish herself as a romantic comedy kinda gal. The Proposal, 2 Weeks Notice, the Miss Congeniality movies, these were the sort of thing most people associated with Miss Bullock prior to 2009. What happened in 2009, I hear you ask? Only a little movie called The Blind Side. Playing the real-life figure of Lee Ann Tui, a woman who took in and cared for a young man who would go on to become a famous American football player, Bullock wowed critics with her emotional depth and relatability as a mother torn between two different worlds. She was even awarded Best Actress at the Oscars for the role, famously collecting her statue just one night after also winning the Razzie for Worst Actress. She can do it all! Since then, more dramatic roles have followed in films like Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close and Gravity. Yeah, she still does guff like The Lost City and The Heat from time to time, but on the whole, she's in a much stronger position as an actor now than she was before The Blind Side. Number 8, Matt Smith. At just 27 years old, Matt Smith became the youngest person ever to play the role of the Doctor in the hit BBC sci-fi show Doctor Who. Despite his youth and the fact he was replacing the mighty David Tennant, Smith excelled in the role and remains a firm favourite amongst the Who faithful to this very day. After leaving the show in 2014, many wondered what Smith was going to do next. Would he continue to play the floppy-haired, doe-eyed posh boy that had won him so many fans? No, absolutely not. It turns out that Matt Smith is absolutely brilliant at playing scary men. Who knew? Take his role in 2021's Last Night in Soho, in which he plays a controlling showbiz manager named Jack. Then there's his part in the early seasons of The Crown, the deeply insecure Duke of Edinburgh. And of course, we have to mention the vicious Daemon Targaryen from House of the Dragon. Basically, Smith has done everything within his power to distance himself from the role of the Doctor, and has made very few mistakes in doing so. Well, except for Mobius, but we'll forgive him. Number 7, Jonah Hill. Fans of teen comedies from the noughties will have a special place in their hearts for a certain Jonah Hill. The star is probably still best known as an awkward teenager in the Seth Rogen pen Superbad. He would also crop up in other funnies like Forgetting Sarah Marshall, The Invention of Lying, and Get Him to the Greek before taking on a part that would change his career forever. As baseball executive Peter Brand in the film Moneyball, Hill stunned audiences with a gripping performance that was 1,000 miles removed from his usual clowning about. He even got nominated for Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars, which would have sounded absurd just a few years earlier. And he was recognized by the Academy again for his part in Wolf of Wall Street. Although he is still mostly a comedic actor, he has veered away from the more childish movies of his younger days. Well, except Sausage Party, in which he played an animated talking wiener. Old habits die hard, alright. Number 6, Kristen Stewart. Twilight. Love it, hate it, or actually there isn't really an in-between, is there? Anyway, at the center of a lot of the discussion about Stephanie Meyer's sparkly saga was Kristen Stewart, the face of the entire franchise. Sadly, in the eyes of many, that face just just looked a bit miserable all the time. Stewart was ruthlessly tarred with the can't act brush during her time in Twilight, which is unfair as have you seen what she was working with? Laurence Olivier would have struggled with some of that dialogue. Since the vampire movies have wrapped up, Stewart seems to have made it her personal mission to prove everyone wrong. She took on roles in war dramas, prison dramas, and even a Woody Allen film, before going through something of a renaissance in the 2020s. Her portrayal of Princess Diana in Spencer caught a lot of people's attention, and she even turned up in David Cronenberg's Crimes of the Future. Bella Swan in a body horror? Who'd have thunk it? Number 5. Mark Hamill. Carrie Fisher would appear in The Blues Brothers and When Harry Met Sally, whilst also garnering plenty of acclaim through her books. As for Harrison Ford, well, do you really need us to talk about him? But what about Luke Skywalker? The literal chosen one who was and still is a hero to so many? You don't really see him anymore, do you? See is the operative word in that sentence, because Mark Hamill, the actor who played Luke, has found a second life as a very talented and in-demand voice actor. Basically, if you've ever seen anything animated, then chances are Hamill has been in it. Scooby-Doo, Spider-Man, Garfield, The Last Airbender, Pinky and the Brain, Clifford the Big Red Dog. Hamill's been in all of the above and plenty more. Oh, and he's voiced the frickin' Joker in about 500 different things. Up there with Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson in the best ever portrayals of the character. Basically, Mark Hamill is an absolute legend who has had a very long and successful career doing what he loves. We should all aspire to be more like Mark. Number 4. Zac Efron. What's Corbin Blue up to these days? Or Lucas Grabeel? Or Monique Coleman? Basically, what we're trying to say here is that High School Musical was a bit of a death sentence for many of the actors involved. With the mild exceptions of Ashley Tisdale and Vanessa Hudgens, no one from the franchise has gone on to find any major success. No one except for our boy Troy Bolton. After becoming the instant bedroom wall dressing of many a young person, Zac Efron continued to play teen heartthrobs even after hanging up his basketball shoes. 17 again, Hairspray, the lucky one. Efron had one gear and he stuck to it. And then all of a sudden, this nice young man got filthy. Efron turned his hand to raunchy comedies and found serious success with them. He starred alongside Robert De Niro in Dirty Grandpa, Seth Rogen in the Bad Neighbors movies, and famously had trouble peeing in That Awkward Moment. Of all the career turns for an actor to take, this one ranks up there with the most surprising. If only we'd bet on it. No apologies here, that song bangs. Number 3. John Krasinski. John Krasinski will always be Jim from The Office. His pranks on Dwight, his hatred for Michael, his love story with Pam. It's all TV gold and nothing he will ever do will surpass any of it. That being said, it's not like he hasn't been trying. In 2018, Krasinski starred in, directed, and wrote the horror thriller A Quiet Place. Set in a world overrun with aliens with super sensitive hearing, Krasinski and his real-life wife, Emily Blunt, delivered a tense, heart-wrenching story about a family attempting to survive in this bleak new world. Not only was the film a smash spawning a franchise, but it also showed that Krasinski was capable of being both a leading man and a good hand behind the scenes. He's played Jack Ryan in the Amazon Prime series of the same name, directed and produced several more movies and TV episodes, and turned up as Mr. Fantastic in the MCU. All of this from the guy who put the stapler in the jello. Not too shabby. Number 2. Chris Pratt. Before he was saving the universe or holding dinosaurs back with his bare hands, Chris Pratt was Andy Dwyer in over 120 episodes of Parks and Recreation. A lovable man-child, Andy was one of the highlights of the show for many, and his antics are still fondly remembered by fans. And then he got buff. Pratt's body transformation for his role as Peter Quill / Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy was nothing short of phenomenal. Also, now that he was sexy, he could have the pick of any part he wanted. It's sad, but it's a bit true, isn't it? As Owen Brady in the Jurassic World series, Pratt proved once again that he could helm a multi-billion-dollar series. He's tried to branch out with other films like Passengers and The Magnificent Seven, but Marvel and Jurassic World have been more than suitable homes for this new megastar. And that little Mario film did alright too, didn't it? A wahoo indeed. Number 1. Leslie Nielsen. The late great Leslie Nielsen is widely regarded as one of the greatest comedy actors in cinema history. As Lieutenant Frank Drebin in both Police Squad and the subsequent Naked Gun movies, Nielsen was a comedic tour de force with his impressive arsenal of dry one-liners and physical humor. He also made us chuckle in Dracula, Dead and Loving It, Spy Hard, and the scary / superhero movies. And who could forget the utter delight that is Airplane? A straight man and comedic foil all rolled into one, Nielsen stole the show aboard that doomed flight, delivering some of the movie's most memorable gags. But did you know that before this he was a completely serious actor? The star was already in his mid-50s when he appeared in Airplane, and had had a substantial career playing dramatic parts. He starred in 60s sci-fi flick Forbidden Planet, as well well as ocean-based disaster movie The Poseidon Adventure. Making Airplane was a huge risk for Nielsen, but thank God he took it. His work in comedy far outweighs anything he did in any other genre, and the legacy of laughs he left behind is nothing short of wonderful. And that's our list. Know of any other actors who reinvented themselves in unexpected ways? Well, let us know all about them in the comment section right down below, and do not forget to like, share, and click on that subscribe button while you're down there. Also, if you like this sort of actor-stuffed stuff, then please head on over to whatculture.com and find some more articles just like the one this video you're watching right now is based on. I've been the always reinventing Gareth from whatculture.com. Thank you very much for stopping on by. Hopefully we'll see you again very, very soon, but in the meantime, just be good to yourself. Bye-bye!